So yeah, I wanted to welcome all of you. It's a great pleasure to see all of you and showing your interest in coming to the University of Utah. I'm so sorry that, I mean, this year has been really, really difficult for almost everybody to make it through. I assume all of you have had your challenges, whether in school, possibly family, business, whatever, to make it through. And so it's wonderful that you still keep, your advanced degrees inside and pursue that. And I promise you that, a few years from now, all of this will be in the rearview mirror, and you'll remember it as one of the stories you can tell. And every crisis is an opportunity as well. So we'll all together find solutions to address that. It's a little unfortunate. Utah is really a wonderful place, just as a place to live, to study, to experience. When I was in my graduate studies, which was a long time ago in the mid-90s, I ended up by pure chance at the University of Utah. And actually, because I originally had an offer from somebody at MIT, and coming from a European school, most of the US only consists of the top schools on the East and the West Coast. And unfortunately, that faculty ran out of funding about 3 or 4 months before I was supposed to start. And then he sent me an email at that time and said, you can still come, but I can't really have you work in the clean room. My background is in solid state devices. I'm an experimentalist. I'm not a theory person. And I'm much more of an engineer than I'm a basic scientist. So I build stuff that I make work. And so I was quite down. I was wondering what to do. And then a friend of mine had been in material science, and Utah has a very, very long history at strength in material science, in computer engineering, imaging, in entrepreneurship as well. And so he said, well, why don't you go there? And so I ended up here by pure chance. And I was so surprised by how friendly people are, how beautiful the entire environment. I mean, the campus is really stunning. I was able to live walking distance with a very, 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 very tight budget at that time from campus. I was able to enjoy activities like skiing and hiking and rafting for comparably little money. And so I kept all those memories. I ended up going back to Europe, started my first business. And then in 2003, 2004 was hired back on faculty. And the moment I stepped back on campus during my interviews, I knew that I wished nothing more than to be here. And some of that has stayed with me against a lot of offers to go somewhere else. My background is in solid state devices. I ended up focusing most of my career on looking at implantable devices. And really the motivating factor was that I thought I could help people with that. I've had a lot of exposure to tetraplegics, people with amputations when I was younger already. And I felt, and I was already in the, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that it was unacceptable that as a society that is so advanced, we couldn't do better. 27 years later, I'm still at it. So according to my wife, I'm just very stubborn and slow. But it's something where, as an electrical engineer, you have so many opportunities, and you will figure that out. Almost all the major areas that impact society, from energy, renewable energy, logistics with transportation, healthcare applications, AI, robotics, the machine learning side, quantum information processing, everything is electrical engineering inside. And so if you get a degree in that field, that opens so many doors for you in areas you can go into. And, of course, there's the academic and industry tracks, but then within those, there's so many different fields. And you could be working for a company that builds a new advanced sensor for something, or you could be working in a company that sources these and builds bigger systems, or builds things for a hospital. You can transition into the finance sector. You can start your own company. There's actually a lot of students who start their own businesses, sometimes with faculty or on their own. We're very supportive of that. We have entrepreneurship courses and project options. And so there are a lot of ways. And even if your plan is never to have the worries of an entrepreneur and run your own company, you will still learn a lot of skills that may be immensely valuable, because in addition to a very solid education in your field of specialty and a broad understanding of how things are connected, you will also understand what makes the difference between an innovation that is successful and one that isn't. You know, just think of it. Most of you are used to smartphones these days. I don't know, and we take it for granted. It's like an extended brain of ours, and people like Elon Musk and others are now dreaming about implanting all of that to make it even faster. But when you think about it, I remember in the, I think it was around 98 or so, Nokia, which at that time was the biggest cell phone maker, had an idea to build something like this. And they came up with something that was pretty large, you know, about this size here, opened up, and everybody, and it could do email, it could do rudimentary, very early internet, etc. The only people that had were like top C-level managers at big corporate companies that everybody felt you're just trying to look important and show off, but who needs that? And, you know, it's very interesting to understand why that failed. And a few years later, somebody by the name of Steve Jobs takes that concept and says, you know what, that's how I can make this work. And this is how I can market it. And that's the price point, and that's the audience. And no, it is not a specialty tool for a handful of people. I want to make sure everybody's going to get it. Just like, you know, the CEO of IBM, I think in 1954, when asked to estimate the market for personal computers worldwide, and he said between 50 and 100, not million, 50 to 100. So I think it is very, very important to understand these things, and it broadens your understanding. Now, the interesting thing is, as an electrical engineer with a strong math and physics background and systems and how you describe them, you will realize that a lot of the same differential equations that didn't make sense in your undergraduate studies show up everywhere. You can transfer systems from a financial into a fluidic, into an electrical system, whatever. And then these things become fun. And the sort of things I still very much remember in my first semester when, you know, the professor would stand at the board, they were still using chalk then. And, you know, and then he said, let's assume the solution is of the following form. And everything magically works out. And you're sitting there going, how, why, what just happened? And then eventually, after many years, you realize, of course, there are patterns and things that you can recognize. And so, yeah, you can see the excitement here. I'm almost a little bit jealous, but in a positive way, every time that I see people that are at that watershed in their development and they have the opportunity to just start anew. And maybe that's a reason why it pulled me back into the university. I'm still an entrepreneur. I still run my businesses on the side, but my passion is really being here, finding new things, solving problems, helping the next generation of engineers to go on that path, and being able to just be constantly challenged and find new things. Every beginning has a lot of wonder in it, and you're at that stage. So keep that momentum, because there'll always be hard times. Every one of us and everybody who does a PhD will tell you there are times where you want to give up so badly. You've had enough, you want to run away, and you will make it through that. You know, part of it is the endurance. And so, again, I would so much love to show you the labs, the facilities, the campus here. And, you know, maybe there's ways we can follow up with some virtual tours for some of you, if that is possible. But yeah, it's a wonderful place. The faculty here are world-class, students are wonderful, and you have a lot of opportunities to do groundbreaking work in many areas. We've got a few of our faculty here. A few final words. As a department, we've grown a lot. The college itself, and Dr. Berardi Sensala Rodriguez will be talking about that. You know, when I started, the college was at 20 million in expenditures. Now we're at 100 million. The department has grown to almost 40 tenure track faculty. and we're very well connected across areas. Most of us have adjunct positions in many different areas, and so you'll find plenty of opportunities. I wish you the best of luck, no matter what you're doing. I hope we can convince you to seriously consider us as a place that can really kickstart your careers. And yeah, please interact with the faculty here. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. You can also email me directly if you'd want to do any follow-up separately at a later stage. Always there, and we're excited that you've applied and that you're interested in coming here. Thank you very much.